And we are live, and by God, we're joined with a panel today. Welcome to Talking Pop Culture with Jake D. I am here today with Val Gear, Draco Argentis, and U.S. Dutch Kitty.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. Please give everyone a quick introduction to who you are. Val.
Hi, I'm Val Gear. Some of you have met me before, those that have watched the stream before. I missed last week, but I was there the previous 2 weeks. There's not a whole lot to say about me.
Val was a little under the weather last week, and we think the coof may have run through the house. We're not sure. So
yeah,
the girlfriend was down for a few days, and so was Val. I'm still kicking, but hey, I guess things could change. Draco.
No. Well, I am Draco Argentus, also known as Mythier. I am nobody in particular. I am a friend to that man, at least from the point of view of our friendship through another individual online, that being Nerdrotic. Mm-hmm. But I haven't done much in terms of YouTube, except be upset with a certain captain reimagining his image, and I didn't get very far through that. So that's not a storied history. But on the other hand, that means we can move on to her.
Hi, I'm U.S. Dutch Kitty, but I tell everybody to call me Dutch. Because there's so many kitties in the Phantom Menace. So I have done YouTubing in the past, and I am trying to rebrand myself again. And I'm gonna be doing that maybe towards October or so. But I pretty much kind of like y'all. We're all aligned because of Nerdrotic. And the Phantom Menace and other things, and let's talk pop culture.
Absolutely. We may or may not be joined by Latino Slant later as well. I'm hoping that he'll pop in, but he got called away for some personal business a little while ago, so hopefully he will join as well. But for those of us certainly on the panel, as well as sort of in the the groups that we speak to and work with, it shouldn't be any surprise that on what appears to be her way out the door, Ms. Kathleen Kennedy is attempting to rehab her image a little bit. There seems to be some certainly push to admit that maybe there were some problems with Disney Star Wars.
Problems with
her.
Really?
And oh boy, where on earth did that come from? Maybe it's because they lost more than half of their revenue between The Force Awakens and The Rise of Palpatine. I don't know. Could be. So we're going to bring up from a friend to the Fandom Menace, bounding into comics. I wanted to go to the original article on the Wrap, but it is, of course, behind a paywall. But bounding into comics, this site is a great friend to those of us who consider ourselves part of the Fandom Menace. And so we'll take a quick look at this article and then and chat a little bit about it. So Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy recently provided an update for the future of Star Wars, detailing where she sees the franchise going, hopefully shortly after her departure. So talking with The Wrap, she discussed The Mandalorian, the Emmy nominations, Baby Yoda, and the future of Star Wars, and all kinds of other fun things. So she's talking about The Mandalorian almost as if she's trying to put her name on it, which I think, of course, most of us would suspect that she had pretty much nothing to do with. Jaffo, thank you for joining. It was good chatting with you earlier today, sir. Appreciate you popping in. So Kennedy went on to agree that the show captures the feel of the original trilogy films, stating, "I agree with you. It's interesting, isn't it, that the advanced technology is actually allowing you to feel that way. I think that that's really true." And one of the things that I find interesting about this comment is that that is certainly an admission that her films did not in any way, shape, or form feel like the original trilogy.
Or add anything to the entire franchise.
Oh, well, they certainly subtracted from it with that. That I think we can all agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Big wet bites.
Yes. The thumb for the stream, we've got her with these red dollar signs on her eyes, which of course symbolize her loss of money and the leadership of Star Wars. Hashtag Solo lost money. And she goes on to talk about The Mandalorian some more. I think that in an interesting way, it has all the DNA of what George was always interested in. Contrary to her films, it feels lived in and everything, focused on storytelling and characters, which of course we did not get. We've got this great image that John Trent puts on the article here of Han, Luke, and Leia, which of course is what every one of us wanted to see from the sequel trilogy, and of course did not get. And so she concluded the question by saying, which I think is something certainly that Dave Filoni understands, and all the work that he's been doing for years inside the company, and something John always loved. The technology's never been an attempt to try to move this further into some kind of science fiction world. It's still in service to that original feeling. And one of the things that I find really interesting about this comment is that it stands in very, very stark contrast to this.
We wanted to really wind it back to the things that inspired the original Star Wars. Part of what you inherit when you're going to see Star Wars now is this whole history, because the stories have been told for decades. And this is something I learned from over at Marvel and working with Kevin Feige, is you always want to keep the core fans in mind, because they've been the ones that have been keeping the torch lit for many, many years. But these are also stories for young people and for new audiences. These are myths. And so you're really telling two stories at once. You're telling the story for the people who are fresh eyes, and you're telling the story for the people who've been there with the property and with the stories and the characters for so many years, and make sure that you're honoring them as well.
Boy, does that sound like a different tone?
That actually sounds like somebody who cares about the fans.
Doesn't it, though?
Yeah. Sounds like a legitimate fan who, maybe he's the one that's going to be turning the mantle to and everything else, because Kathleen, she wanted the young eyes, and look what that got her.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Draco, what's your take on that interview that Favreau gave there 3 weeks ago?
My particular take on it is that, well, there's actually two ways that I look at that, and part of it may be having to do with my being several times burned. At first, I hear the things that we wanted to hear. The thing is that in many cases, when you hear things, the first thing that comes to your mind, at least when you have that sort of that burned history, is that talk is cheap. But what we've also seen is the man has followed up with actions and has given us reason to believe that when he speaks these things, he might actually be in our corner, in our corner, a member of the fandom menace, as some people have ascribed to. Because when you look at the language that Kennedy is speaking from here, she's being quite political, isn't she? She's using language that is it's ascribed meaning. The meanings can be taken many ways, so she doesn't have to be put in any particular camp, and it looks like she's supporting the same things he has said, but it doesn't really put herself in that. She doesn't say it outright. And least of all, I mean, her actions have been hidden from us, except in the most blatant of ways. The things she has supported, the decisions that she has made.
And I mean, stop me if I'm incorrect, but this is the first public commentary that she's really given on Star Wars for months.
Yes, it is.
Right?
We don't hear that much from her.
She's been silent since The Rise of Palpatine hit theaters.
And this might lead into something else. Why are we hearing these words, this thing, now? Is it timely? Does it have anything to do with certain other things that are going on? Does it have to do with certain things we might have heard rumors about recently? Just rumors, not facts, not reporting, but rumors.
Isn't there supposedly some big announcement possibly coming in early September?
If only we all had beers.
The only one of us with a majestic beard is, of
There
course,
you go.
the silent man, Val. I don't know, Val. How do these two things contrast to you?
Well, I mean, one of the first things I notice is Jon Favreau knows how to talk to people. He knows how to connect with people. I mean, he was a speechwriter for Obama.
Yep.
Who has been credited with having some of the greatest presidential speeches of all time. Very, he's good at putting words in front of people and making you feel, well, anything he wants you to feel, really.
Welcomed.
Yeah, welcome or confident or whatever. So that has to be taken into account with what Jon Favreau was saying in the clip you played earlier. But I don't think there's anything that was insincere about it, because you're absolutely right. He has come and done things and shown that he's ready to listen to the fan base. He wants to make things that are entertaining. And as far as Kathleen Kennedy is concerned, her Star Wars was an agenda. And anybody that denies it is lying to everybody.
You got that right, brother. You got that right. Here's where, to me, this interview that she gave gets really, really interesting. So Kennedy then detailed what Lucasfilm is doing to plan for the future of Star Wars. And now we're stepping back. Stories have been told within this universe over the last 40-odd years. And there's now the realization that this is a mythology that actually spans about 25,000 years when you really start to look at all the different stories that have been told, whether it's in books and games.
Wait, we're just now realizing this?
Right?
She's been under a rock.
I don't have it loaded into this stream, so I can't pull it up, but there's the interview with Kathleen and George right at the point of the sale of Lucasfilm to Disney. And Lucas says specifically that he has given her story treatments for 7, 8, and 9. And what was the word, Draco? A treasure trove, I think it was. of stories.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, between the books and the comic books, the video games.
Basically a history, a pseudo history. Not all of it directly created by Lucas, but vetted. What a lot of us, what the new camp has been calling legends, and what the rest of us think of as the extended universe.
Yes. I mean, for her to even acknowledge that the EU that she threw out, she did it. And for her to now talk about this as some sort of rich history of mythology, I mean, this is just, this is kick you while you're down kind of stuff coming from Kathleen.
Sorry about the pizza. I haven't eaten
A lady's got to eat.
Pizza is here.
I'm Odin. I'm the female Odin.
I don't know. You got a lot more
What's
hair.
on the pizza?
I know.
What's on the pizza?
Sell
it.
It's meat lovers with a little bit of pepper, a little bit of black olives on it. So, continue.
So, to me, I mean, seeing this come out now, I mean, this just makes me even more angry at what Disney did to Star Wars than I was in December. And than I was when we saw Ruin Johnson's Last Jedi. Because it's a sudden acknowledgement that all this stuff that she said didn't exist is suddenly available to Lucasfilm to use and to mine and to bring into the current universe. And one of the things I really can't stand is her, I mean, frankly, stealing words out of Favreau's mouth from that interview 2 weeks ago. And to hear Kathleen talk about the mythology, I mean, that's just, to me, that's a slap in the face to the fandom menace. And I hear Favreau talk about it, and I'm hearing a dedicated, caring, creative. And then I hear Kennedy say things like this, and it's just one of those just disgusting repurposers.
I could bring up something, but I do not have backup prepared for it, because this sounds like something else either I remember from a rumor or I remember from another post that this is not the first time that particular play has been being made, that something from the camp of the creative teams, if not Favreau himself, was claimed to be originally in somewhat or in part something that she or her creatives have produced. Because I believe, and I'm going to point to this directly now, I think that either the idea behind or a significant part of the built-up for the Yoda species, the baby Yoda, was claimed by, after the fact, but we don't know how much, claimed after the fact to be, well, that's my idea, by Kennedy.
Yeah.
Quote.
I
would quote it if I knew the actual phrase. I knew the actual phrase.
I remember what you're talking about, and she did attempt to take some ownership of the baby Yoda. And what irks me about that is we have all seen the production behind the scene photos and hopefully the making of documentary that they dropped on Mandalorian. And the one thing that was definitely not present in any way, shape, or form was Kathleen Kennedy.
Exactly.
The one time she's on set, you remember where she's sitting, Dutch? As you take a bite of pizza.
She is agreeing. You remember?
I remember.
Oh man, but yeah, there's the photos where you've got
catching her with the pizza in her mouth.
of course, as soon as I ask her a question, right?
You gotta make me blush.
Oh, goodness. But right, there's the set photos where you've got Favreau kind of sitting front and center, right? And he's got Filoni to his left, and he's got George motherfucking Lucas to his right.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see they're actively directing the scenes that whatever it was that they were filming in these pictures, and then sitting about 3 rows behind them in the dark.
Yeah.
Who was sitting there, Val?
That was Kathleen Kennedy.
As if she
Nothing more than an audience member.
Yeah, as if she wasn't invited to the boys' club.
Oh dear.
Playing producer credit.
Yeah. I mean, her butt would have been right next to him with all those credits that she has. But no. As if she didn't know what she was talking about, or they didn't want her opinion because she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Exactly.
And she would have probably whatever scene it was, we don't know, but it was probably a pivotal scene. They're like, okay, you stay over there. Let the actual fans do the work.
The professionals have got this.
Yeah, let the real professionals and that love their fans do this.
Mm-hmm.
Actual creatives.
I know it's a rarity now.
Exactly, and I mean, I grant you that some of these things that Favreau's saying in that interview, we heard back in 2014 from KK and her people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did hear things like that. I mean, none of us will ever forget the interview with Kathleen where she lies to George's face and says, the most important thing is that we protect these characters that you've created, right? We all know.
Protect your legacy.
Yeah. We all know what she did with that. To Draco's point earlier, though, I mean, this, when we hear it from Favreau, he's saying that after he already showed us the goods.
Exactly.
And, my greatest hope is that the change in leadership at Lucasfilm is a triumvirate of Feige, Favreau, and Filoni.
Mm-hmm.
If we got the triple F at the helm, I'm going to at least be confident that they're not going to spit in my face or piss on me and tell me it's raining. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the only real kerfuffle I had with the Mandalorian was maybe Taika, the way he directed it. At the very end. I know he was trying to put humor in it, but it's kind of like, this is the season finale and everything. And the little bit, he went too far. And we, in the past, he's been showing his mouth because of Thor. Love and thunder.
And I'll ruin your mythos in a minute, baby. We all remember that tweet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And friends of mine don't believe me when I said that. He said that. And I'm like, here you go. And they're like, So when
the Taika-isms.
The Taika-isms. Thank you.
Yes.
And so when you have, Taika could be a fan, but when you don't want to preserve and expand on something like Star Wars with The Mandalorian, even though we have this window after 5 years after Return of the Jedi to episode 8, sorry. And we're having to fill in things. We're in this bubble, but at least Feige and Filoni and Lucas and everything they want to expand it. They want to make it authentic.
Yes.
And then you got the vultures, Kennedy and others. They're saying, let me come down and mess it up and still be like, oh, look what I did. And we're seeing now that Filoni and all them are saying, no, let the professionals do it, baby. And look, the fans came in because it's authentic.
Yeah, it makes a difference. I mean, anybody can see when somebody who's producing content has got their heart and their soul into it, and they care about the material that they're working with. Say what you will about Rian Johnson's other work. Okay, I'm not ashamed to admit I enjoyed Knives Out for what it was. I did. I liked the movie. I enjoyed it. We watched it, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, something like that. And it was, he had some of his politics in there, sure, but he's working with his own IP, and he's, sort of putting together almost a modern Agatha Christie type story with that movie. And it was a decent quality film. But when he tries to Rian Johnson established IP, that's where he goes horribly, horribly wrong.
Because he's not a fan, or he doesn't give it respect. Like Feige with Iron Man. I don't think Feige was a Iron Man fan, but he did his homework to make it into probably still the greatest MCU film before there was an MCU. That's why we watch all the time.
I'm going to have to go with Winter Soldier, but I don't disagree. The original Iron Man is.
But the thing is that I think I remember in behind the scenes of Iron Man is that he didn't know much about it, but he did his damnedest to learn about Iron Man.
That was his thing at that point. He was getting up to speed in the Paramount Marvel universe. He was getting on board, while Favreau, who was really driving that cart, was carrying it and actually giving us the anchor, from which the whole rest of the thing was spun out.
Yes. And you see that what he's doing with The Mandalorian, he's going to try to do the same thing. But since he
certainly
knows
can.
he certainly can. But now with what's happened with Star Wars, he knows he has to really put the hammer down. And that means plain to us, even though it could be lip service. But at least he knows his stuff. At least he knows how to make a good product, especially of a fan base of what we see. And Kennedy doesn't. She cares about herself and agenda.
Yeah. And, Mary made a comment in the chat that talking about Rian Johnson, about how he wants to put his stamp on it, but does it horribly. And I don't know. What do you think about that, Val?
I actually don't have anything unique to say about it, because I agree with what everybody else is saying. I think it's been pretty well covered so far.
If you care more about your own legacy and stamp and style than you do about the IP that you are the custodian of, right? That's where you go wrong.
Yeah, and ego. Just because you have been gifted 40 years of love from the fans and made new ones. Probably 3 generations, I want to say, from 77. And you take a dump on it and still say, oh, it's still beautiful. Oh, look what I did.
Yeah, polished turd is still a turd. Right?
Yeah.
And Bounding into Comics gets into it that exactly what we're talking about, because when she was making excuses for what was going on at Lucasfilm when they were putting together the Disney Star Wars movies, she said every one of these movies is a particularly hard nut to crack. There's no source material. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels. We don't have anything other than passionate storytellers who get together and talk about what the next iteration might be. I think Timothy Zahn.
What happens when you decanonize everything in the extended universe?
And then at the end, they try to bring some of that stuff back in. Oh,
declare it legends, and then use it as a dung heap from which to select the most choice and fragrant pieces to assemble things.
Mhm. Exactly.
You know, if I'm Timothy Zahn,
Am I a little salty? Sorry.
Yeah,
It's just you read that line there, and we're keeping this particular chat on the level and so on, and I'm thinking about what I might say if I were to really go salty. But please continue.
It's just a little dash.
Draco, we're not monetized. You don't have to be careful.
I don't. Yeah, you could always keep this. You could always keep this around, and the kids and kidlings and family and might want to say it. If I start dropping bombs, it's over. It's done. We'll stay for now.
Yeah, it's I know if I'm Timothy Zahn and I hear that comment, I'm blown away that he wrote new Thrawn novels and gave them permission to use Thrawn in Rebels. Because to me, if I'm Zahn, this is a slap in the face. It's saying all that work that he did. I remember when I was in high school and that first book, Heir to the Empire, came out. I mean, I bought that thing.
Over there.
That's right. That was unfortunately one of the losses I suffered in a flood in a house that I owned about 10 years ago. But I do have it here.
I have it on Audible. Yep.
And I reread it recently because it's a nice, easy read. And the story is so
entertaining
good.
Read. It's a well done. Timothy Zahn showed his props for being able to tell. I might be silent there. Timothy showed his props for being an excellent storyteller, engaging writer, able to understand the material and give us. Just think about this. He was an anchor for bringing Star Wars to a whole new generation at that time. At that time, this was after the movies had played out, after they had gone to VHS. This was an opportunity to bring some of that back. And all you had were the comics to a very small margin. Mm-hmm. And after that, one of the things that I remember, one of the things that I was strong in the EU was around that time I was getting into my comic collecting thing. And I didn't know much about I believe it was Marvel that did the original series comics. But then Dark Horse started spawning all of this Star Wars content, building whole sections of the EU. They were so interested in it when they would get their information vetted. The front of the books would actually include a timeline letting you know where in the history of the whole that this stuff was going, so that you knew that this was not just a little side story. This was not just fan fiction, or at least not fan fiction in any sense that any writer could pick up this subject and write something about it. Mm-hmm. They were attempting to make a broader story, a part of the whole, even if it wasn't characters that you saw, even if it wasn't the three that we wanted to see. And now you get Timothy Zahn coming out with his books, and it builds this whole new wave. And he makes some excellent storytelling, and he spins that out into this beautiful 3-part trilogy.
And it was
all sorts of new growth spawns from it. Not just new growth. If that wasn't there, if there wasn't new people coming up, would the special editions have driven as many? Might have driven a few people, but there was always that fan base, that horrible, toxic fan base.
Well, when Favreau talks about the fans that kept this thing going, that's what he's talking about. And you read my mind, Draco, because I would assert that without the Heir to the Empire trilogy from Zahn, there is no special edition. It doesn't happen because
it's not the popularity that you'd think, because that was a core. That was something. I mean, you often wonder what do you think about the decisions that went into making some of that, and maybe I'm going deep and off the trail here, but what went into this? Because Lucas was doing several film projects. They weren't particularly successful, all of them. He started doing his Young Indiana Jones things, and they started using the technologies that now I'm going to lose it. Now I'm going to show why I don't stream that much.
That's why we have a panel to pick up when you pause, right?
Yes.
It helps
visual
prevent
effects,
the dead air.
The visual effects studio.
Yes.
ILM.
ILM. There you go. Thank you, U.S. Dutch Kitty.
You're
That
welcome.
ILM was building upon, and even before that, ILM was becoming a force for visual effects in the industry all through the 80s. And ILM, for better or worse, gave him the tools to produce the special editions, which has the good and the bad, and eventually come along with the prequel trilogy. And there it is. Now we're moving Star Wars backward, but still, but still, it's something. And I think it could have been. You would probably have. There's a lot of us armchair quarterbacking, because it probably could have been better if George was just initiating people to do his work instead of being the sole creative voice on it. And you look at what's going on now, you have two relatively young creative voices on it, two people interested in it, one interested with creating some new, and that's the way I think of Filoni. I think of Filoni as someone who he's interested in adding the new. He's maybe even interested in adding new messages, some that some of us may not be as interested in as others. But the thing is that I think he has more talent at being able to put a message in, like, say, would have been done in the ways older Star Trek put in messages, to make allegories, to make tales that everybody appreciated, that everybody could take a message away from, something that was more out of it. And then you've got a hard. I almost feel like Filoni is just a bit more on the hard line. He's listening to, like, he wants George in his ear. He wants George right there. He wants to know George is He wants that sort of. He doesn't want to put the load on George, but he wants to say, okay, George is the lexicon. George is the dictionary. George is the encyclopedia. George knows about all these things that he could want to tell.
Mm-hmm.
I will kind of be his conduit.
His avatar.
Putting these to realizing these things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, I agree.
At least that's the way I see it. And so
yeah. And
try not to bet too far off the.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean, especially with Favreau. Yeah, you have the fan there that says, hey, the creator's right next to me. If I don't know something or he has something nobody knows about, he's right here. And that's where you get those, the little Easter eggs and everything. And you see George's perspective that Favreau didn't see into little things, especially with like the Mandalorian and on-handed little things. And, we're collaborating together with the person, which we saw, and that Kennedy, Ryan didn't want to. They're like, we just want to add our own things. Filoni, at least he tries to play ball with his own things. And he's from mainly the world of animation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I was just remembering. It's like, wait a minute, didn't he do Avatar: The Last Airbender? And the episodes that he did were mainly the big ones, the big episodes that has to do with war and stuff, and then some messaging here and there, and some of them were messaging that were allegory, that were things that, yeah, for a kids show, it was deep for a kids show, but at least he's willing to play ball with the writers and such that he directed with. So, the 2 Fs, the 3 Fs, as we call them. But yeah, that's absolutely true there, Draco. I can't agree more. Yeah.
It we'll see what's coming up. There of course have been a lot of rumors about some real serious shakeup at Lucasfilm. I would not be shocked, and this is me speculating. This is not based on any firm information or even rumor, but we've all seen or at least heard about Disney's earnings reports. They are hemorrhaging money. They are deeply in debt. They're having to extend their debt just to, stay solvent because they're not bringing any damn money in right now. Mm-hmm. I would not be shocked to see new leadership installed into Lucasfilm and frankly, the asset be sold in some way, shape, or form because Disney needs the cash.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also with, when Kathleen leaves, there's all that money freed up.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows how much she was getting, for all the things that she did. And there's that money.
I wish I had that kind of parachute. I ain't gonna lie.
I know.
I bet 10, 20, 50 people might be happy with that parachute.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee everybody in this chat and on the panel, we'd all be just fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We could pay off all of our houses and everything else and that, not even put a dent in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Jaffo says, George selling off the company is like the death of God. And now we're getting multiple interpretations of that conflict.
Yes.
And I can't disagree with him at all. We'll see what the future holds, but obviously there's been, a lot of rumor that we're going to see something very, very different very, very soon. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what that is. If we've got those three guys, leading the charge, which it looks like we will, at least we'll have something that looks and feels like Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
At least we'll have that.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see. I don't think they're ever going to erase the Disney Star Wars movies, but I would not be surprised if they basically just splintered off a new timeline and pretended they never existed. Just never speak of them again. Put them in a little drawer, lock it up, and call it a day.
It's kind of like we need like a Star Wars version of Q to just go, simulation done,
Yes. Oh, yes.
Just
please.
Yoda popping up on the screen, joking I was, and snapping, it's all gone.
There you go.
Oh man, I always wanted to put a little video together of Kathleen talking about how she didn't have anything and there was no source material, and then just pop in with Yoda saying, "And that is why you fail."
Force retcon.
Where's Perry Chan when we need him?
The dark side on certain tea leads to.
The sequels you made, gone they are.
See, the Yoda voice always is an insecure all, isn't it?
It's one of my favorite ways to make my daughters laugh. Mary, you are right. If there is any movie out there that needs a remake, It is 7, 8, and 9.
Oh, Chapo, the
Alternatively.
I mean, yeah, nice alternative.
Exterminate. Exterminate.
Can we exterminate 13 while we're at it?
Yeah, can we exterminate 13 and just go
Please.
back to something like him? You know?
Bring up.
Oh, show everybody that T-shirt. I am in love with this T-shirt.
I have an 8 one somewhere, but I think it's still in a movie box.
Yeah, everybody take a look at this. This is, of course, Christopher Eccleston, the great, great Ninth Doctor.
And also, you know, showing off my assets. So,
well,
make it those viewers.
If you've got it, work it. I
know.
Want it, baby.
Yes. but yes, you know, it's like we were talking earlier about Doctor Who. It's like it's almost carbon copy. Just replace some names from Star Wars, go into Doctor Who, and then go into Star Trek.
Oh boy, it's. I mean, the creatives in charge of these franchises. Excuse me, the repurposers in charge of these franchises. At some point, the almighty dollar or the pound, depending on which country we're in, has got to take precedence over the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jaffa says they aren't original, and he is exactly right. It's nothing but the agenda politics in there. So,
yeah. They don't want to add that's not pure for whatever it is. They want to subtract and think that they're adding.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So there has been, switching topics now, there's been some really interesting news in the gaming world that has come out recently, where we have got some very, very large companies all going at each other right now. And this has been just a little bit crazy. So, to set up, so Fortnite is a popular battle royale game. Is that a decent description, Val?
Yeah.
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 I play it. So.
And
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I hope you are running right off the edge of the cliff there.
Yeah, Val doesn't play video games at all.
Yeah, this is my that's actually my gameplay for Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima.
You just killed yourself there, Val.
Yeah, I know. I did it twice in a row. I was trying to find a safe way down there. I couldn't find my crouch key. It was a mess.
I can't have a copy anywhere.
He's working on it.
So a little bit of the setup here. Epic Games, they run Fortnite, and there is basically a pissing match going on over in-game revenues.
Mm-hmm.
And Fortnite is a multi-platform game. You can play it on your mobile, you can play it on your PC. So, I mean, wherever it is, you can get into this game.
You can play on the Switch, which so
yeah. So it's across multiple platforms. And Epic is, I mean, probably a consequence of a bit of a shrinking in their player base, is getting a little bit more greedy about the in-game transaction money, because anything that you're running through the Apple App Store, Apple gets their cut, right? I mean, the same is true of the Google Play Store, but Epic, unlike most of these developers, has their own internal ability to process these transactions. So if you're playing Fortnite on your PC you can do your transactions to purchase the in-game currency. You buy that directly through Epic, and Epic's big problem with Apple, of course, is that you can't do that if somebody's playing on their Apple device, which of course there's hundreds of millions of them out there, if not billions, and that's a big chunk of revenue that they are missing out on. And interestingly, it goes back to our discussion to an extent about some at some point the almighty dollar has got to start controlling decisions, and in the case of Epic, it has. So, John, or Val, can you give us a little bit more background? Did we miss anything? Is there more context that's important to that?
Well, one of the things to note is Epic basically told Apple, "Hey, we want to do it this way and allow people to buy the in-game currency on their own without having to go through the Apple Store and the Apple Store or go through Apple." And Apple said, "No, you can't do that because that specifically breaks the terms of use with having your app on our store. Any purchases that go to in-game currency, on the mobile devices, we get our 30% cut." So what Epic did is they lowered their price by 20%. So they went from a $9.99 package went down to $7.99, available through their website. I don't know exactly where they did it and where they offered up the package that you could buy, but they made it available to mobile players, and they dropped the price by 20%. So basically, keeping an extra 10% on that.
There you go.
So Apple got pissed off about that and pulled Fortnite from the Play Store, or the App Store, because the Play Store is Google. Google ended up doing the same thing, I believe, with the Play Store. So I don't know if any real progress has been made either way about it. As I understand it, Fortnite is not available on the Play Store or the App Store right now. I could be wrong, though.
Let me look right quick.
Yeah,
that was the last I
check
heard.
too.
Yeah, that was the last I had heard. And then the big change in the news about this fight among all these, frankly, mega corporations is Microsoft has now stepped into the fray. And the blocking and the termination of Epic's developer membership for these application stores makes the Unreal Engine unavailable. So, Val, can you give us a little context on what is important about the Unreal Engine?
So Epic has been the primary developer of the Unreal Engine since, I think, forever. And they have pretty much been giving it away or licensing it out to major software developers. I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for there.
Yeah, well, some people may not have the context of what it is and why it matters.
Oh, okay. So Unreal is arguably probably the best gaming engine out there. A lot of the AAA new games that are coming out, they're going to run on Unreal most of the time. Borderlands 3 ran on Unreal. I think they're in the process of making Unreal 5 here pretty soon. 4 is out, and it's been out for probably the better part of the decade. But yeah, a lot of new games are still running on Unreal and getting built on Unreal. It's one of the most predominant game engines out there. Okay,
so making that no longer available for any kind of app that's going through the Apple App Store. I mean, this is a problem, because now suddenly that's not going to necessarily be available for people to work with making their apps and games, right?
It won't affect the mobile market so much, because most people designing for mobile aren't going to use something like Unreal. Unreal has a lot of graphics capabilities that mobile devices won't be able to take advantage of. For mobile gaming, you're mostly going to see stuff like Unity Engine, which is owned by a different company.
Mhm.
Unreal's going to affect the big ticket games.
Your PS4s and your Xboxes and
Yeah,
and such like that. Yes.
the new big stuff that's coming out.
So, what big games, say released in 2020, have been built using the Unreal Engine, Val?
Released in 2020, I'm not sure. I can probably search really quick to find something.
Oh, well, I was curious, for instance, if Ghost of Tsushima playing right behind you might be on it. 'Cause I'm not.
I don't
remotely
believe so. I think
I'm not-
that's.
yeah.
I think that was an engine that was developed.
Proprietary or
probably proprietary through Sony.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So so Microsoft is getting behind Epic though, because they do indeed develop with the Unreal Engine, and not having the Unreal Engine, getting this blocked in their developer program is so what happens is Epic not only loses its ability to develop Fortnite for iOS, but the Unreal Engine for iOS and Mac OS.
Oh, one of the big ones I forgot about. Final Fantasy VII, the remake, that was built using Unreal.
Okay. Yes. So this is an issue. Right. So now you've got
A little bit of a big deal.
yeah,
Just a little bit.
So you've got Google and Apple on one side, and you've now got Epic and Microsoft on the other side. And all these mega corporations are going at it in court right now. And this could get really interesting, because depending on how all of this plays out, this could change the landscape of anything, particularly mobile, but also platform gaming. I mean,
There's a lot of stuff on this engine.
Yeah, I'm just.
Yes.
I found it. Just to give some titles here. The latest Crash Bandicoot, 2020, made with Unreal. Let me see. Anything else? Latest Dragon Ball Z game, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let me see. Godfall. Let me see. Grounded. Stalker 2. Minecraft Dungeons, if you're a Minecraft person.
That's an ARPG in the style of Minecraft. That was a weird game.
Yeah, I it's like Trials of Mana. Ones I'm just seeing off the new Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Yeah, made with Unreal. So it's ridiculous how many I'm just seeing just of 2020 on Wikipedia list of all pages.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, this is, to an extent, it's one of the most open source use platforms for gaming in existence.
Yes.
And right now it is blocked from the Mac OS as well as the iOS.
Yep.
And however this court battle plays out, this is going to be, it's going to have huge ramifications for gaming on all platforms going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, to your point, the list of games built with Unreal is long and distinguished. Yes, it's Unreal.
Unreal. But, I mean, it's like I was just looking at the Unreal Engine website, and it's like here to download, and so yeah, I bet even college students are going into animation or game or whatever. This is what they start with because they know that is the go-to, and they're being taught this. As when I was going to go into the animation industry before I got sick, I was probably going to be learning how to use it back in the mid 2000s. So,
yeah. So Culture Casino has popped in with a comment. The Unreal Engine is a common developer engine.
Mm-hmm.
The court action initiated by Epic is an antitrust suit. They want to make in-app purchases free of the Apple transaction tax. Exactly. It's about bringing in the dollar on the transactions.
Yes.
And I mean, however this shakes out, it's going to change the face of gaming. Whether Apple and Google prevail, whether Epic and Microsoft prevail, this is going to be a really big deal.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the transactions, because that's what everybody gripes about is the microtransactions for games. And, you know, finding a game without them is like finding a unicorn.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Yeah. Jaffo had a question about Tencent as it relates to Unreal and Epic. Val, I think you're familiar with that.
I am not too much. I think at one point Epic ended up going into debt, and Tencent kind of bailed them out a little bit, but I don't know if they've since bought back those shares or not. I think it was about 48% of the company Tencent owned at one point, but I don't know if that's still current.
And that's a significant ownership stake. I mean,
it is.
That's not a small amount. So,
yes, 48.4% as of October 9th, 2019. They had a 48.4% stake, but that was slightly misleading. Tencent had purchased 48.4% of the remaining shares of Epic at that time, which equates to an overall total of a 40% total stake in Epic Games.
Yes.
So at least partially, and probably, you know, compared to everybody else that owns stake in Epic, they're probably the majority.
Okay. Culture says Tim Sweeney still owns over 50%. So he at least has
a deciding share.
He has control, but it's and as long as he doesn't sell off anymore or dilute the shares, you know, he's still got the controlling stake. All right. Hey, Culture, I'm going to drop a link in the chat in case you are so inclined. You are welcome to join us, sir. But so I mean, at the end of the day, this is a big deal, and it's whether you're a gamer or not, this is important to watch because every single one of us uses these platforms. Whether you're playing Fortnite, whether you are a console gamer, PC gamer, or not a gamer at all, you are still using either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Yep. There's virtually nobody in the first world that does not have access and utilize one of those two things. Mm-hmm. And the way this thing plays out is going to have an effect on each and every one of us in some way, shape, or form. And you see Culture saying that Sweeney stated he can buy back the 10-cent shares at any point.
You should probably get on that.
Yeah, right?
Considering what we've seen in the news, yes.
Absolutely. I mean, the rhetoric that's coming out of Washington right now, and I mean, let's face it, there is a lot of anti-China sentiment for both good reasons and not. Some of it's overblown, just like it is with anything that's political. But there's definitely reasons to be concerned. And no doubt about that. So, will that have an effect? Yeah, it's getting a little bit outside my expertise with that question, Jaffo, but you're not wrong. It's I'm not an expert in business law by any stretch, although I do write a large number of those contracts on a daily basis. I'm not the guy who interprets them.
Mm-hmm. As you are a language writer, you will also it would also be pertinent to say whatever the language of those contracts are, or the orders that come from the government. Mm-hmm. That is going to have far more bearing, and unless we have those in stone, we are theorizing.
Absolutely. So this one, everybody should watch this because at the end of the day, it will affect each and every one of us to some degree or another. Yes. Because one of the big things that Epic wants to do is essentially set up a competing app store within the app store. that people can download through the App Store in order to transact directly with Epic. Which is, it's tough for me because without the platform that Apple has built and is providing, that transaction may or may not exist. So I don't know that it's out of line for them to expect a cut of it. I mean, if you don't have that iPhone in your hand, you're not using that particular platform. But it's fair to question, whether forcing everybody to go through you in some way, shape, or form, is antitrust, as Culture brought up. It's interesting, so, at a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so shifting gears, DC Fandome has been a very, very interesting time yesterday. We saw a lot of premieres. And we're going to do, since we were just on the topic of games, I want to pop up to the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League official reveal trailer first, since we were already on the subject of games. We'll go into the other two big trailers they dropped next. But so as far as I know, nobody's getting struck and taken down for showing any of these trailers. So we're gonna plow through them and watch. All right, let me know if everybody can hear the audio. Okay, it's the first time I've tried to play a trailer on a stream. You good on audio?
I don't hear anything.
Oh, for Pete's sake!
Oh, you boomer!
Clearly. I guess we'll roll without audio. So you're hearing a lot of chatter in the background. There a lot of guns going off, explosions. And here we got Harley Quinn. So,
What's with the hair?
yeah, they're trying to call her off to some other area where she's needed.
Okay, there's Captain Boomerang, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get the captions on. No. so we'll pause it here, but I mean, this looks good. Like, just visually looking at this thing,
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And I mean, Val, you watch this whole thing, and you're the big gamer in the group. So give me your thoughts on the trailer here.
Well, I mean, it's going to be kind of difficult to go fully into my thoughts on it until we finish it, but I enjoyed the trailer. It's done by the same group that did the whole Arkham series, and I love the Arkham series, even with all its bugs and glitches and just game-breaking features. But as far as storytelling and direction, it very entertaining series. And once you got used to the controls, I mean, they were pretty much very intuitive. I don't know if this is going to play exactly the same, because, I mean, obviously with 4 of them there, it seems like it's going to be something that could be team-based, which is not something that you've seen in any of the Arkham series. But I'm excited for this. I saw this trailer, and at first I thought, are they making an animated movie? because Rocksteady doesn't make movies. And then it's like, oh no, this is a game. And then I felt like an idiot.
And yeah, and then you start seeing some of the action. And Val, did you get the impression this is legit gameplay, or is this just trailer?
If I had to guess, I'd say there's absolutely no way in hell this is gameplay. This is a cinematic.
Okay. Yeah. To say, if this is actual gameplay, holy shit. Right.
It would be very, very impressive if it was, but I mean, that's with the camera switching between the different characters it's focusing on, it'd be a very janky gameplay experience trying to switch between all the different characters like that.
Especially with like with seeing the beta of Marvel Avengers and how they're trying to be cinematic while going into the gameplay. So trying to do this, yeah, it would be.
Yeah, and I mean that is a cool effect that I think more games really need to get in the habit of. Ghost of Tsushima, when you first started up, I don't know if you guys have played it at all. You start out on horseback and you're watching a cinematic, and the cinematic just seems or just plays seamlessly straight into gameplay.
That's something that, you know, for me, I stopped seriously gaming not that long ago, 10 years ago. And even when I was gaming, you didn't have that smooth of an experience. You could always, you know, tell when you bridged between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially when you're used to the older stuff and something, you know, and it transitions like that, and it goes straight into the gameplay without a loading screen or any kind of transition at all. And you're kind of just sitting there, and all of a sudden your character stops moving, and you're like, what's my character doing? This is a weird part of the scene.
Your turn.
Oh, my controls are working.
Yeah, your turn. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So, I mean, that game looks good to me. Why did they put? You know, that's a good question. I have no answer to that, Jaffo. I don't know why they added the E to make it spell like dome. Does anybody know why they did that?
I don't know why. I've just seen it in the last few days on Eric July's messages. He's been referring to the Fandome.
Yeah, I have no idea why they're doing it that way. Everybody seems to be pronouncing it fandom, but it certainly isn't how it's spelled. So, maybe it's a reference to the fact that it's being done electronically and virtually, you know, like esports, things like that. I mean, that's all I got for you. That's just me speculating.
Oh, Fandome is actually a thing. It's like a it's supposed to be similar to
experience. A virtual fan experience. It sounds like a con. Just 48 hours.
I think my camera cut out.
It did.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
See, to be quite honest, and to fill the intervening space, I cannot call myself a DC fan, at least not in the realm of most DC fans. So I have seen some of the stuff and let it pass by. But looking into this right now, it looks like it was intended to be a 48-hour event, which included all of these releases. And it is not just a single event. There is a second part that is coming up on September 12th. Kind of like I'm actually reading. This is from CNET.
CNET's generally got decent reporting in it. I've never.
I don't think there's an issue with it. It is owned by certain entities, but I think that's an ABC. I don't remember. I'd screw it up, but kind of like Comic-Con, but only for DC. So no Avengers. But if you're a fan of DC characters such as Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Aquaman, you'll want to tune in, and this fandom event should go well beyond the big names. The August 22nd event covered the whole DC world, from comic books to movies to TV shows and video games. And a second event of September 12th will do something similar.
Fair enough. All right, let's.
That's the thing right there.
Let's take a look at the Batman trailer. Now, I am probably going to continue to boomer this, and there is at least an 80-20 chance that I'm not going to get the audio onto it. But a lot of this thing is visual. Hopefully, those of you watching have seen it yourself, and we'll run through the trailer and do some reaction as we're going through it. So apparently I'm the only one who can hear it, though, because I don't know how to bring this sound in. I'll have to figure that out.
There might be an opportunity, if you want to pause for a second. I could try to play it through a shared screen, and I could give you my audio.
Let's.
I'd have to bring it up.
Yeah, I have got that. Let's see. All the old team. So Dave says, best thing from this was all the old TV series were discounted on the Apple Store. Superman animated series was $20. So was Batman the animated series. So you're able to download and purchase all those old animated series at a significantly discounted rate as a result of the fandom. Jeffo, is that about right?
I think we're on about a 20-second delay. So
yeah, he'll respond in a moment.
Okay.
All right. Let's
see
if
that works.
Let's see if we can get the audio in.
Okay. Oh, I need to drag something over. Hang on a second. Cut that out for a second.
Jaffo said, "Yep."
Okay.
I've got the YouTube stream pulled up over here, so I can keep track of comments as they come up.
That is definitely the downside of looking at it just from inside the StreamYard studio. You've got that delay.
There we are.
All right. Let me know when you're ready to reshare that, Draco.
Okay. Here we are again. All right, go ahead. And don't talk while it's playing because it will repeat your voices. Or I can pause it.
Hit it.
From your secret friend. Underneath the bridge. Who? Animals I've trapped. Haven't a clue. Let's play a game. Just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
You're becoming quite a celebrity. Why is he writing to you?
If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
Whoa! This guy's crazy.
You're part of this too.
How am I part of this?
You'll see.
Okay.
All right. So initial reactions, Val. What's your gut tell you?
Well, when you got Sparkle Vampire Boy making out this Bruce Wayne edgelord character, it makes you not very hopeful. It makes you worried about the franchise as a whole. But if you look at the supporting actors for it, that's where my hope lies. You know, I mean, you've got Zoe Kravitz doing Selena Kyle or Catwoman. You've got Colin Farrell doing the Penguin, which that's going to be interesting to see. But I like Colin Farrell. I think he's a great actor, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do with that character. Paul Dano, I think that's how you say his last name. Paul Dano is supposed to play Edward Nashton, or the Riddler. And I'm very excited to see that. People that don't remember who that is, which he's not a very popular actor. He's the preacher kid from There Will Be Blood. And he's a great actor. And you and I were talking a little while ago, Jake, about, you know, hey, if we see a new Batman movie and they're going to put a Riddler in it, who would make a good Riddler? And you and I were just kind of beating our heads against the wall for the longest time, and we couldn't come up with anybody. And I think they picked a hell of a choice. I think if anybody can pull off a modern day Riddler, it's going to be this kid.
I'm not going to disagree with you there. I do like the supporting cast, and I'm gonna call something out because I think that this will certainly be a hot topic for some people, and that's our Jim Gordon here.
Oh, yes.
I am 100% okay. This looks like Jim Gordon to me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a character actor, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
A solid character actor. A character actor that we've seen fit into so many roles.
Like a glove.
Yes. The important thing to me is it's not anything beyond. I mean, this looks like Jim Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue that we hear from him during the trailer, that sounds like Jim Gordon to me, and I am confident that this will feel like Jim Gordon. I don't think there's any reason to do anything with this character except pick the guy who can play the role. And I'm convinced.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody was like, oh, the race bending and all that stuff. But look at him. Look at him. That is what you think when you think of Commissioner Gordon. You know?
Yeah, although I think Az from Heel versus Babyface is saying this is Lieutenant Gordon.
Well, even then.
Yeah. We're a little earlier in the timeline, that's all.
Yeah, but look at him. It's what we imagine in all of our heads in different, whatever iterations. It's a look, and yeah, go for it. As long as you pull it off. But Cedric Diggory as Batman, and that one image of where he's wearing the costume for the first time, somewhere in the early parts of it.
The costume. Let me find the still and we'll bring it up.
The costume is heavy on the technical.
Yeah, but Jake,
armor, on the.
yeah, it's like the one thing that we were talking about before is that freaking they're hiding his neck. That this is just from an artistic standpoint of like when you know a weak spot, you cover it up. You cover it up.
Sure.
And this person and Pattinson doesn't have a neck on him. He has one, but not a guy who's worked out neck. Somebody who's on a nightly basis is, kicking butt, taking names. Look at him. Look at him. Does that look like? It's
not just shaded and dark. It is covered up by the cloak's collar.
Yes, he's got a big collar going around the back, and it's hiding that neck. That's my only complaint about the appearance of the costume. I know some people have got some issues with the costume. I'm okay with it, really. Other than that collar that they've got, to your point, Dutch, they're hiding the fact that the guy's neck is about this big.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like with artists. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be Jim Lee, everything else. Every artist has the same weak point, and that's hands. That's why we try to hide hands as much as possible. And if you can't, then you cover up the hands with gloves. You cover where, and they're doing exactly the same thing with that neck.
Yeah. So, the rest of the costume I'm good with.
But it's just, I zoomed in. I was like, okay, Cedric Diggory's, little chin right there. Okay, don't care. But that neck is what bothers me.
Yeah.
Or at least what you don't see about it bothers.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever they're hiding is troubling.
Yeah, whatever they're hiding is troubling. For one thing, it just shows me that they know they made whoever did the casting call. They knew what they were like, yeah, we have to hide it for da-da-da-da-da. And we know there's going to be costume changes of his uniform. We know that.
Yep.
Because of the behind-the-scenes footage.
Yeah.
Not to mention, they have done one thing here that is toward the tail end of the trailer, you get to see a little bit of action where you see the Batman taking down this guy that's decided he's going to stand up against whoever this is. And so you get to see him, or at least from his face, you get to see him portray some action, whether or not he was winded after doing it or not. But you see my point.
Here's Pattinson in the Wayne persona.
Yeah. Oh, I hate the hair.
Oh God, I hate the hair.
There's something overly to my eyes. There's something overly youthful. I mean, I suppose you can go that way, and that can play across if you're trying to get in certain groups, certain age groups into your watcher base. But there's something about this, and it was mentioned on a stream we were working on earlier that there was an appreciation for the idea that you want the Bruce Wayne side to be a little bit more clean cut, like he's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's the multi-millionaire, and he, not the extent of like, Tony Stark, but Stark.
Because the only buy I'd give him would be eccentricity.
Yes.
The multimillionaire eccentricity.
Yeah. He has to have, he's wearing a costume in plain sight, which is himself, So, but yeah, I don't see it here. I just see, I almost see middle management.
Yeah.
Than somebody who's the head of a corporation.
Yeah. This guy is this is not Bruce Wayne, and this is my only problem with the trailer. I mean, Lord Thoth.
You're looking at the same message I am. Say it.
Yeah. He's saying, I'm old school bats. This is awful. Talking about the bat suit, and like, I mean, I feel that, and I understand why you feel that way. It's not a problem for me. but I can understand why some people would have an issue with it.
This is the issue we're going to come up with. This is the latest in a set of adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
The latest take of a new creative group going, we're going to do this our way.
I love that.
Andrew's comment here.
At least there's not that going on. If not, I'd be all ripping all. I mean, I ripped all over Man Bun Ken from Barbie. At least it's not that. Thank goodness.
I will give you that all day long, Andrew. It is
Mhm.
it is definitely good. It's not a man bun.
But yeah, Jeffo, he does look like Crispin Glover. He looks like, yeah.
Yes, this looks very Crispin Glover. I've got to agree.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like maybe who knows? Maybe they asked for him for the role and they couldn't get. It's like, well, who kind of looks like him? That happens in Hollywood.
Isn't Crispin Glover like 50 now, though?
Yeah, but at least he would look more like Batman than.
Well, what if they would have said no? I don't think he could have taken that kind of rejection.
Maybe Matt Reeves couldn't take that kind of rejection.
But yeah, this screenshot just hurts me right here.
Oh God, I hate this. I hate it.
And got to see it in the realm of what of the finished product. And
gotta see it in context.
I think another thing I said, and this was mine, is that from the trailer, although we get the hints of the Riddler, and you have all the other things like you have Zoe's Catwoman, and as you mentioned, the Penguin, and we've got some excellent actors to fill these roles.
We do.
It's still going to be. Excuse me. There you go. That's breaking it. It's still going to be a matter of, I get the feeling of, I get the flavor, the mystery box, the idea of they're setting up mystery boxes in the classic school of JJ.
Yeah.
And that always disturbs more than makes you feel reassured. It's hinting at a mystery, it's hinting at a possibility, but I got that same thing from The Force Awakens, and I got that same thing from other movies in the similar vein. The previews that make you say, look at this, take a look at this. And the idea of they're giving you images for member berries, like
sure.
Everyone likes the Batmobile. Here's our version. Everyone likes the Bat suit. Here's our version.
I kind of like this Batmobile.
I think it's interesting. The muscle car view from the front and the supercharged turbine from the back.
The flames
with the heavy wheels and the wide profile. It's like that will stand. I think that will stand in Bat vehicles there.
I'm we don't get to see a really good look at it, but we do get this shot from behind. You get kind of a shot from the front, like you're saying, Draco, and I'm okay with. I like the return of the flames. That's good. That feels real Batmobile to me. And it looks very utilitarian, right? I mean, this thing was built to work to me, I think. And maybe we'll see it and we'll hate it when we see the full thing.
You can add fins later.
Yes.
Yeah.
And an ejection seat, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the Tumbler Batmobile that, it's like, yeah, okay.
Essentially a military vehicle painted black.
Yeah. At least this is more mobile than just a Hummer, an oversized military Hummer.
Yeah.
And it does look like a sports car. So I give it, there's bits of it.
Yeah, you get another shot of it here.
Yeah, it even has a classic almost 60s like Batmobile look from the back of it, the way it arches up. If you see where I'm seeing, it kind of gives me that feel.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
we got the big tailpipes up here,
Yeah.
you know, and the the front of this thing, it's got a very muscle car,
Mm-hmm.
right? Kind of profile to it.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that whatever it was originally, he muscled it up, and it's given me almost a little bit of like the 80s and 60s vibes, like both of them together.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that.
Yeah, I'm good with this as our year 1, year 2 Batmobile. This is
Our
this
hot
is
takes.
Our hot take, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Oh yeah.
The Batmobile is hot. I'm good with it.
Yeah. If only the actor was hot.
Yeah. Oh God.
I agree with that comment.
Game of Thrones season 8 episode 3. Anyone?
Right.
You people, you just don't have the high definition color depth TVs.
Oh
No,
my
you didn't. You didn't grade it properly, you arse.
We had.
Watch
I watched this with that episode with a good buddy, and we had it on a big plasma TV. I had to jack the brightness all the way up, and screw with and we still couldn't see a damn thing.
I was watching on
It was bad.
my
Go
4K
ahead, Melvin.
LED HDR, and I had
There
blackout
you go.
curtains completely surrounding me, and I still couldn't see a damn thing.
That's the story I kept hearing. People who had the HDR. This is the thing that's supposed to have the blackest blacks, the full range of color schemes. They did not grade it for even the HDR people to see it. That's bull.
Yeah, because Dan and Dave were because Dan and Dave were too busy playing Dungeons and Dragons with Joe Manganiello, which is true.
It is true. Yeah,
It is true. If you ever look on those Instagram, there they are on Joe's Instagram in that wine cellar. So that's what they were doing maybe in those 2 years where they should have been on the show. They were playing D&D, probably learn how to do real storytelling. Anyway.
All right. So I want to drop in one last shot from the trailer. And this one's been getting a little flack from some people, and I'm completely okay. So that there's been the comments about guy liner here, right? Which
Yeah.
in isolation, if I just see this shot of him looking like this when he's in the Bruce Wayne persona, I've got a problem with it, right? I dig that. That is not okay. That's Guy Liner and emo Pattinson walking around, but he has just immediately before we see this shot taken the cowl off, right? And whoops, wrong button. So he is just taken the hood off here, and every Batman we have ever seen uses eye black.
Yes.
The eye holes are always larger than the eyes. It's there in 89 in the follows. It is there in the Dark Knight. And the thing is that even one thing about that, and I'll bring this up here, that in Batman Returns, when he rips off his hard cowl, he doesn't have the eye black, but he had it beforehand.
He should have had it when he took it off.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're saying they were doing it for effect. In this case, just like you said, he had just taken off his cowl. And maybe their interest, maybe Matt Reeves' decision is we're going to say that eye black is really there. And he uses it to keep his eyes dark.
Exactly, because
if you're not using lenses, you kind of have to do this.
Yes.
I mean,
at least to maintain the look, to maintain the black face.
Well, they
Absolutely.
probably just had him pull the hood off of his costume and did a shot with that. Like, yep, we got it. One take, good to go.
I mean, you know, it'd be really if they actually showed him putting it on before he puts on the cowl, and him actually having to do it and everything, cover it up, and then see if like before and how he's feeling, how he's whatever he's gonna do, and after he's taken it off, how it all is. I'm totally okay with that because this looks real. Because that's what it looks. Especially think of the cosplayers who do the makeup and everything. When they take their cowls off and everything, it's just as jacked as that, I bet.
Yeah, and there's been some commentary that that this kind of looks like he's maybe even crying, and I'm thinking,
No.
dude just got back from fighting crime.
He's sweating.
Homeboy been sweating, as he should be.
Yeah.
You know, so
The only thing I see there is the hair all mussed and stuff, and his cheeks are the same gaunt. We're going to see that. That's just his look, and he is not going to be swollen in any way. It's just another example of, well, he looks youthful. He
Yes.
looks young. I mean, he looks younger than his years, which I guess is a good trait for a 34-year-old guy. But the thing is that from this perspective, I see almost a more Batman Beyond thing, a young kid fitting into the role, and that emo flavor. I mean, it's not just the eye, it's not just the shade in the eyes. It's some of the behavior. And you see it in the square when he is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm of both of those minds. I'm of the I don't know what to think, and I'm hoping for the best, but I don't know what to think is slightly winning in current year. So.
Yeah.
Fair observation. I mean, getting a Gordon that sure looks and acts like Gordon, I'll take that. That's winning.
That's a win in the pot.
Yeah.
Gross.
I mean, at the very least, we can count on the supporting actors to carry this movie, I think.
Yes.
I'm with you there. And, you know,
It's sad, but yeah.
Sometimes it's what you need.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean,
Sometimes you need a little more, or else you get an Attack of the Clones.
I mean, that's fair, right? I mean, you got Christopher Lee as Dooku. You have got.
Is that unfair? Is that unfair to compare Matt Reeves to Lucas?
Well, no, I mean, you make a good point. And it's worth talking about, right? I mean,
just from the directing level. I mean, I would have to also speak from a more informed level because I have not recently seen enough Matt Reeves content to be able to say that I would give him the pass because I know where he's coming from creatively, what I would expect from the project that he's working on now.
Yeah, and I'm with you there as well, at least in terms of the recent history of Matt Reeves. I do love. The only casting I'm worried about in this is Pattinson. Everything else I like. But I mean, to your point, do you end up with an Attack of the Clones? Because let's face it, that was not Hayden Christensen's greatest moment. Right.
And we know from the future and even from different views around that he could have done better work.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you've got Samuel L. Jackson and Mace Windu around him. You got Christopher Lee and Count Dooku. You've got Ewan McGregor in Obi-Wan. I mean, he was surrounded with good casting decisions.
And Natalie Portman and others. Yeah.
Yep, McDermott. I mean, you name it, right? The talent around him in that movie was good overall. I mean, Portman, I guess I can take her or leave her. She's a pretty face, certainly, and her acting was all right, I guess. In the supporting cast, she's probably the weakest.
But even then, it seemed like she had to, especially when the romance stuff. I still cringe kind of over that. but it felt like she had to pull. Oh, I'm really in love with him.
She was pulling off more of that. I mean, that's a duet.
Yeah,
That's romance movie.
Yep.
George wanted a romance movie. That's pulling off the duet.
Mm-hmm.
and she had to carry
her
it.
tenor was not there for her soprano. So
There was no
or
chemistry.
at least it wasn't recorded. It wasn't put into the hard copy.
Yeah, there was definitely no chemistry on scene or on screen.
So
But
this is not that same kind of formula. This is
No.
this is
True.
Battinson. He certainly can. We see a lot of people want to talk about just how well he performed in The Lighthouse, weird movie and all, but the thing is that some of his acting props were brought to the floor. Now he's got to overcome this physical. I mean,
that's my major reservation.
It's a little bit upsetting. It's a little bit upsetting to hear in those priors, in those interviews about how he wasn't willing to do anything to prep for the role physically.
Yeah. I mean, Mary points out, to his credit, he had the good taste to go after the role.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a fair observation, but it's also fair to make an observation that I'm 40 years old. I haven't lifted weights since I was 17, and I'm bigger than that son of a bitch.
I don't want to break him.
Hey guys, I hate to cut this short. I gotta get running. I'm supposed to be meeting a friend.
All
But
right,
thank you for
well,
having me on.
Yep.
always.
Good
Always.
meeting you and good sharing the stream, Val.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well,
Nice to meet all of you, and it's been a real pleasure. Have a good evening.
Do you want to plug anything
Take care.
before you go, Val?
I appreciate it, but no, I don't really have anything up. So
All right, fair enough. We will catch you next
I
week,
feel
sir.
your pain.
Jaffo made the comment that, of course, you got Lucas's dialogue. And I don't disagree with him at all, that it is a bit coarse and irritating, kind of like sand.
Mhm.
It gets everywhere.
Yeah.
Rough and irritating.
Yeah, especially when the thing is that if we're going back to a little bit of Lucas, what direction that Lucas gave Hayden to be Anakin, and
Lack thereof.
what's been coursing through George's head all those years of pre-Vader. And nobody, that's the one thing I remember in the commentary a long time ago is people were saying nobody said no to Lucas.
Yeah. And that's certainly been
And
the
that was
consistent criticism of the
Yes.
prequels.
yes. So
Because he can bring that back to the fore and say, how much is Matt Reeves driving the creative vision of this Batman?
mhm.
And immediately prior to him is the writers. Do we know about the writers for this? Because honestly, right now, I don't. But because one of the things we're doing is saying Matt Reeves comes from the camp of those who learned under Jar Jar. There it is. The modern cinematic Antichrist.
As our Lord Doomcock would say.
Yes.
There's things that Reeves is saying about this movie that I find encouraging, and I'm hoping could make it to be really good. We hear him talking about Batman as the world's greatest detective, and we hear it being talked about in a no-ear sense, and that this is going to be a detective movie in the sense that we've never truly seen, at least on the big screen, with Batman. And I have to agree, that is an angle that has never been pursued. We've never seen anything like
Never
that.
properly done. You're right there.
Yeah.
And if that's really what he's doing here, and that's his vision, I mean, this could be great.
Because you could tell.
Want that in the pro.
Yeah.
You're such kitty.
Because you could tell the noirness of it. It does. I will give it. It does look like a detective story.
Yes.
I will give it that.
We've got that scene in the beginning of the trailer where Gordon is there after they he's killed whoever that guy is. Put the duct tape around him with no more lies on his face. He's got the green envelope from the Riddler for the and you get the feel of an investigation of a crime, which we've never seen that in Batman. Not really.
And because we've always had the fantastical, even with oh gosh, I can't remember his name now. The one that did the last trilogy, Christopher Nolan.
Nolan.
Yeah, Nolan. Yeah, he tried it too, but then you can see the quick turn, especially after you got Heath Joker in there, and he had to really lay it in, especially with Bane and such. But now to really have a detective story that we're getting the Riddler and somehow we're getting the Penguin, but they're but still it's a detective story, and if that's the driving force. And it's just in a costume, and we see the building of the Batman. We're gonna know, I guess, because this is year 1, year 2. So I'll give it that.
Fourth start.
Yeah, for a start.
Actually, third. One of the reasons I remember that from the previous stream, I would call it the third start, because one start was not even seen on screen. It was, these things happened. You haven't seen them yet. Maybe we'll touch on it. Because when you're talking about the most recent iteration with Batfleck, you got to see a history somewhere to him down the line.
Yeah,
but he has his own origin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's not even specifically the origins we've seen. Go ahead.
Batfleck has been my favorite Bruce Wayne. I did not like that casting when I heard the announcement. He won me over. He was great as the aging Batman that we saw in the movies that he was in, whether his cameo in Suicide Squad, BVS, Joss Whedon's Justice League. He was the best Bruce Wayne I've seen on screen, and he was right up there as Batman.
He seemed to be very similar for me. He seemed to be the most solid, and to me, at least, from my outside DC main perspective, the best looking of any of the Batmans to any sort of adaptation reason. I mean, my biggest issue with him was the vocalizer.
Yeah, it was too much, right?
Yeah. It was the only thing that really kind of broke me. It was like, oh, really? He's got weird voice thing. So, okay. Everything else was like, that's
solid.
exactly what I think. I mean, yeah, it's Ben Affleck, but he's really pulling this off.
Yeah, but it was Batman. I mean, it was Bruce Wayne. It was Batman, and
he's Batman.
He was. Now I am completely with you on the vocals and what they've been doing with Batman on the vocals in the 2 most recent iterations. I mean,
like
Bale,
they couldn't have him say it to me.
Bale was the worst. Oh God, he was the worst.
Swear to me.
Swear to me, right?
Where's the trigger? Where's the trigger?
Oh, that was cringe. That was cringe. And the Batfleck voice was better than what we got from Bale, especially in the last movie.
It's almost like overkill. Take it. Okay, that's better. What? Too far. It went too far.
Yeah, it's just.
Reel it back in. Come on,
Yeah.
now. Come on, now. Turn it down just a little.
There.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, Keaton was not bad.
No,
He was pretty solid on that.
And Keaton's back. Keaton is back.
That's another thing too.
Mm-hmm.
How many people? I mean, this is another one. I'm going like, I don't know if I trust it, but it's
confirmed.
I mean, yeah, it's like they're Doctor Whoing it. They're Doctor Whoing it. You know, with two different Batmans.
Please don't say Doctor Whoing it in that context.
I do not need that to be Doctor Who.
You know, with Affleck and Keaton. So
Affleck and Keaton for sure.
Yeah.
And it sounded like there might be more Batmen than that. They've confirmed Batfleck and Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
But they suggested
Business on Infinite Tijuanas was not necessarily a good thing.
there was definitely a suggestion that they may not be the only two Batmen in the movie. They didn't come out and say it. They just confirmed those two. But, you know, it would be, even if it was just maybe a scene of Flash skipping between a dimension, if you caught a quick shot of Bale, or, you know, hell, how about
Clooney?
Do a Clooney, right? Clooney would be complete with nipples. The nipple suit, George Clooney.
Here's a laugh.
Oh, come on, Draco. That was
the credit card.
Val Kilmer.
The greatest bat suit ever made.
Right. Right.
On that note, I think we're going to call it a day. We are just about at 2 hours on the stream. Oh my goodness, I had an absolute blast today, and you know, the two of you are welcome back with Val and I anytime. We try to stream roughly this same time every Sunday, and you know, certainly going to be working on getting some more folks in. And I am absolutely open to joining streams on other folks' channels as well. Would love that opportunity. So we start off, Dutch, do you have anything that you want to plug? Any final words?
I mean, ending on bat nipples is always good.
Well, we know she's T instead of A.
I am, you know what, doing the live streaming the last few hours and everything really made me miss doing all this, and I have been pondering going back into streaming and making videos and such, and but I'll be focused on things that I want more focus on, because it seems like everybody's focusing on things. And so yeah, I'm pondering it. I do want to live stream, and Jake and Draco, you guys are definitely on the list, especially when we talk Doctor Who.
Oh yes, please.
Oh yeah, especially when the Christmas special comes around.
Now I do have to call out that my daughter made me promise that we would not get too far into talking about Dr. Karen today.
Oh yeah.
Let's stayed away from it.
Yeah,
mostly.
Yeah. Let's praise Doctor Who. Let's praise it. Let's praise this one.
Eccleston is the man.
And by the way, if y'all haven't heard, Eccleston is doing Big Finish.
He is. I will drop a link to the video I made about that in the description of this stream, just in honor of you bringing that up.
But yeah, on Twitter, I am US Dutch Kitty. And maybe I'll start doing some videos soon. I don't know. I got to reacquaint myself with my equipment. So
fair enough.
That's me.
Draco.
Well, you know me. I'm just the best guest I can be, I suppose. I don't have a whole lot of content to be proud of, but I hang with a lot of excellent people like these two right here, these beautiful, wonderful geeks.
Duncan.
So I do not know if you'd see me in the future. Maybe I might hang out on this chat or that other chat. It's always an issue with me because I might be working at the time. So this is not a common case where I am available for things like this. But
Very glad it worked out.
maybe see in the future.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Outstanding.
to you, sir.
Thank you. So if y'all have hung on this long, whether it's on the replay or, the 3 or 4 folks who are watching us live, please do consider liking this stream.
Yes.
Share it with your friends on social media. And if you aren't already, by golly, please do subscribe to the channel, because as those are the people who we listen to and have gotten all of us into doing this often tell us, that is some of the best ways to help us small creators and us newer creators get traction on YouTube, to help widen our breadth and our reach. Because one of the things that makes these streams fun, it's not just the panel of folks, because the interaction that we have is just, we could go on for another hour or two. We wouldn't run out of shit to talk about. But the folks in the chat who are able to bring up points that we don't think of, ask questions that maybe we wouldn't have gotten to without the prompting. Those are the things that make these streams the best. And without that chat, it's just not as fun, and it's just not as high quality. And so thank you, Andrew, Jaffo, Culture, Mary. Am I missing anybody? Lord Thoth. Thank you, all of you, for being here and listening to the stream, because without you guys, this is nowhere near as good. And we do sincerely appreciate it. And with that, we will say good evening. If y'all are tuning in to the Inquisition, you'll catch me there in the chat in a little bit.
And you catch me too.
Very good.
Excellent.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Party on.